Members, I want to chat to you about something I feel quite passionate about. Okay, so I'm doing this course right now just to make sure that my current model is stress test and it's ready to rock and roll, right? So, thankfully, or very cleverly, Udemy doesn't allow any screen recording to happen on any of its videos, so I can't take you through the lesson itself. I was going to give you some images instead of what I'm currently learning. So what I'm currently learning is how to code image recognition as a part of the project within the course. And in doing so, I've come to understand how machines understand images and how images can be manipulated and then also brought back to creation to something that the human can understand. Now, in the comprehension of how this is all possible, that aha moment, that epiphany, that landing of what is truly going on hit me straight between the eyes. Like, it almost knocked me off my chair. So what I'm talking about right now is that the AI advancements right now is something that not enough people are fully aware of. And for those who are in the know or who are interested about what's going on, I still don't really think they have the comprehensive, like the true understanding of what is going on in the code and how machines operate, machine learning operates, and AI and that sort of thing, as well as the true impact that it's going to have on society in the months and the years to come. Just to think of it, around about a year from now, I first started playing around with ChatGPT 3. It was like interacting with a 16-year-old, so it had its strong points, it had its flaws, it knew things, it wasn't too sure about other things. And a year later, interacting with ChatGPT 4 Turbo, it feels as if I have a boardroom full of professionals and professors and excellent minds at my fingertip, and it is coming in at hyperspeed in terms of whatever information that I need from it. Okay, so that's where we are right now, and just seeing the progress in the AI industry taking on so many different sectors. I think by this time next year, it's more principle that the hockey curve is going to absolutely change the landscape. So I always knew that this was going to be the case, and I updated Facebook with this sort of thing in 2017, where AI was like a pipe dream somewhere down the line. But guys, getting into like the real granular level understanding of what's going on behind the scenes, like for example, working on case studies where IKEA's got 12,000 products and I've got to create barcodes and binary classification and have their categories work in a way that the machines can track it and all this sort of stuff. Like, I'm really getting right down to the ones and the zeros and understanding the base level architecture of machine learning and AI, right up to having a already trained, already developed AI model that I've been working on for the last 8 months, and it's providing market predictions and something I'm working to deploy in live market. So I've got the base right through to that pro level of experience under my belt. So what I'm trying to say is that as my knowledge expands and I get further down this rabbit hole and trying to navigate for my own benefits and the benefits of my investors and my family and so on, the how machines operate, so I can optimize my own one, for example. I'm getting to understand all of the different mechanics that go on under the hood. And in running these exercises, I'm starting to see the industry at large, in terms of, the image recognition, the video creation, the audio creation, the LLMs, like having that's large language models, it's what the AI text-based interaction, like chatbot environment, but it's more than chatbot. It's a league of professionals at your fingertips at any time of the day. All of that coming together is soon to become an ensemble, like a parallel system where the vision, the hearing, the logic, the tree of thought, the all of those are going to operate side by side and create something called AGI, which is augmented general intelligence. Very much like the way we see and hear and speak, the ensemble of different models will co-integrate their best expertise to bring out the top results. So that's at our doorstep, and that's obviously going to bleed into robotics and industry and a whole bunch of new things. So in seeing the advancement, like right under the hood and down to a granular level, I am seriously concerned for the majority that are not prepared for this. So this is not a fear-mongering message, but this is just a word of concern to say, if you don't have your thumb on the pulse of what is going on here, and more in particular what you are going to do about it in the near future, and how it's going to impact you, then I really strongly suggest that you start thinking about this now. Don't think about it only about your job replacement and maybe just fighting for your relevance within the workforce and that sort of thing. Even as a business owner, all that kind of stuff, customers are going to shift the way they buy and so on and so forth. And what I'm trying to say, and especially competition, like competitive prices are going to like this $20 a month ChatGPT subscription is literally like a few cups of coffee, right? So a few cups of coffee are going to seriously squash that beefy profit that some industries have been getting away with, but not all. So what I'm trying to say, guys, is that the more I understand of what's going on, the more concerned I'm becoming. And I was initially concerned. I thought that AI was a great tool, and it is a great tool. However, those who are unprepared are going to find themselves in a desperate situation. And the thought I wanted to close off there in terms of desperate situation is that wherever you are located, I know New York is very congested and there's a lot of hubs, and initial kind of craze was to like be urbanized and be in cities and that sort of thing. Wherever you are, or if you're in suburbia or just in a neighborhood that you get on with some people, but other people are kind of dodgy, wherever you are physically located, I also want you to start thinking about what would happen if your neighborhood became desperate. Okay, because guys, this AI evolution is going to transform the world as we know it, and I really do see how that's going to happen. So between now and then, there's going to be a transition period. And I'm not talking about all the wars that are going on. I'm not talking about the doom and gloom, inflation, and I'm not talking about the homeless people problem. Like, that's certainly all going on as it is now. But what I'm saying is that as professionals become redundant, I already go to ChatGPT before I go to my accountant, before I go to my lawyer, before I go to any professional consultant. I ask ChatGPT first, and I grill it, and I ask you different questions. And more often than not, I don't actually go out to exterior consult, because everything I'm finding I need is just there at any time of the day at hyper speed. I can be in bed with my phone. I can be in front of my screens and is needing that answer, and it just delivers time and time again. And it's getting more and more accurate. So what I'm trying to say is that I want to take you through a little bit of a task that I'm working with in my course, just to give you an understanding of how machines are able to see images. And then we're going to use that just very high level to kind of get your understanding into how that applies to audio, how it applies to video, how it applies to the encoding of libraries of books, and the logic and the instruction and the whole mega mind, the super mind that's being created right now with I think ChatGPT alone has got over 100 million active users at any one point. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of feedback. And this is just the beginning of the era of awareness of what ChatGPT is capable of, and so on. So let's get into some working examples here, just to put you into perspective of how a machine will decode an image, and then we'll talk about what is around the corner in terms of the massive $7 trillion investment that Sam Altman, the head of OpenAI, is securing for the next evolution of hardware, the silicon and semiconductor evolution that's going to just scale this magnitude into something that human brain wouldn't be able on its best day to keep up with. Okay, so in the course, there's something called this MNIST test, and a lot of machine learning students will go through this, and it's a problem-solving test on how to resolve the way in which machines see an image, and then they go through the hidden layers and the activation and nonlinear training to get the machine to then use a database of other characters, and it can effectively read images based on what it's been trained on. Okay, so that's also quite similar to like the latest iPhones. When you open up your camera and you put it over text, it can read that text, and how it's able to do so is through this kind of technology. So basically what happens is that a machine learning model will be presented a database, and in the database there'll be training material. So for example, this data set here of handwritten numbers and eventually letters will go through the network training, and then they'll be classified into 10 different categories, this being from 0 to 9. Okay, so before I get there, let's just have a look around at what we've got on the screen here. And it doesn't obviously just work with characters. It doesn't just work with letters. It works with all things. Pictures of puppies, pictures of you name it. The same principle applies across the board. So the data, the model gets fed with the training material, and how it adjusts the training material into something it understands is that it will create a vector for the image to represent itself. Okay, so let's get into the mechanics of it, and then I'll take it back a bit. Here we've got a 25 by 25 box. All right, so we've got 25 units down and 25 units across. Effectively, we've got a 25 by 25 matrix. Within that matrix exists all of these different blocks. So it's 25 blocks by 25 blocks. Now, 0, when it comes to programming, is considered pure black, and white is considered, 0 is pure black, 255 is considered pure white. So between those 2 points, you're going to get your grayscale. And that will then bulk up to bigger bigger data sets of matrices, which bring on like high definition color and so on. So this at its primal form exists in just a 25 by 25 block. So the 25 by 25 block, in terms of how a machine sees it, let me just see if I can get it bigger. Is now it displaces the information on the screen between those ranges, right? So 0 is, in this instance, white, so maybe they inverted it or for the purpose of the exercise, but typically 0 is pure black, and then 255 is pure white. And over here, where it is pure black, they've got here 253, so it's almost 255. And then on the outsides, where it's a lighter shade, the numbers are different. So you've got 6 here for that really light one, and then 33, and then 100 and 176, and so on. So basically, this is how it's able to see. Okay? You get that? So that 3, that handwritten 3, is into a matrix. And within that matrix, each block is graded in terms of its color, which then offers the displacement. And then this matrix, this grid of numbers, then gets flattened into one long vector. Okay, so basically what happens is that this row will get stacked on this row, which will get stacked on this row from a number perspective. If you think of it like an Excel document, how you got rows and you got columns, all of this gets put into one column. Also, there'll be the start, so 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 will be the beginning of the first part of the column. So let's say from 0 to 25 will just be zeros, and then again it'll be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So just like 0 to 50 will just be zeros in the column on the Excel sheet, for example. And then we go 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 6. So instead of going all zeros, the 20th unit will be 6, and the 21st unit will be 32, and then 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And then the next row, continuing that column, will be 0, 0, 0, and now at number 10, it'll be 120, and then 11 will be 211, just keeping that range in between 0 and 225. Then 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, or 0. I think wherever you are in the world, just go with 0. Then it's 33, 236, and 143 to represent those displacements over there. And it keeps going like that. So it creates one long column of all of this information there. And then what happens from there? It will go to whatever else it needs to look at, and it builds on. So now an entire image can be put into one column in an Excel document. And then you can obviously populate that Excel document to like tons and tons and tons and tons of different numbers, right? You can have databases into the billions, and a lot of large language models are being trained into the billions at the moment. So we've got these big data sets that are very simple to understand, and then it can be manipulated into something useful. So over here is something called ideogram, and it happens on the phone. I'm hoping there's a lot of guys keen on boobs by the looks of things here. I want to see if it happens on the browser. I haven't tried it on the browser as yet, but on my phone, what happens is that it actually shows you the stages of how it creates. It starts from white, and then it grayscales, and then it adds color at the end. So I've got here just for a little bit of fun. Satoshi Nakamoto being excited to see his Bitcoin reach $64,000. All right, so I'm just going to magic prompt as auto ratio. We're going to keep it to normal ratio model, the latest model, visibility. We have to keep it public, and then I'm going to hit generate. So it says generating progress. It's kind of gray at the moment, but on my mobile device, okay, there we go. Can you see how it starts off with just like that grayscale? And then it's just layering in that matrices of information, those numbers, to bring in new mathematics, new grids of numbers, and then boom, there we go. Here are our pictures. Okay, so this is their version of Satoshi Nakamoto hitting 64,000, and he is pumped, jumping up in the air, and so super excited that that happened. I guess my favorite, I'm not sure what yours might be, would be this one, because it says 64,000 on the screen, and he's pretty stoked, and of course the cliche hoodie is on him. But if you guys, the focus isn't on the end picture per se, even though it's super impressive, and we can generate a more realistic figure and so on. We can customize this to have dragons in it, whatever the case. But the data sets to make this possible are just matrix numbers. So that was like, wow, that's super impressive, because once you've got training data and you've got the desired outcome, then the models, which are pretty much, they get some I've customized my model from scratch, like literally line for line, and then tested it, and then found the optimal component for it, and found out how it all operated together, and so on. So you can do it that way, or you can utilize existing models. For example, this one, they'll be able to generate the result that you want by what they've created. So The point being is that how this became possible, and I'm really grateful that you get to see that generation process, is that it started off with training data, so just like tons of images were brought down into a number format, and then it went through the neural network. But for example, this grid of 25 by 25, this 3, became something that looked like that, so the machine could see it. That's a clearer version. And then it's what was now able to, with additional layers, bring in the context of where a nose should be, where the chin should be, how the hoodie should be, keeping a good color scheme, what a Apple screen should look like, and so on. So like, this is all possible because of compute power. Now, where my concern is for society at large is that this is fun, and it's disrupting all of the guys who used to provide services on like Fiverr and Upwork and all those sort of things, just to help guys out to work on like logos and Photoshop projects and that sort of thing. Like, I can get this done in under 30 seconds, more so, call it a minute. Whereas when dealing with Fiverr, I used to wait like 5 days up to maybe like sometimes 3 weeks just to get a logo created the way I wanted it, or some really nice photoshopped videos, or whatever the case may be. Whereas this is so fast and so easy. And this is where we are now, just 1 year later after this became available to the public. I'm talking about ChatGPT 3, that is. Now, the difference between this and super intelligence is compute power. And what hit me between the eyes at like mega pace was this investment over here that's happening with Sam Altman, right? He's going to, with these, get the 17 trillion to put into semiconductors, basically silicon and so on, within the duration of the near future. So I've just taken you through a clumsy explanation of how image generation is created. Now, the difference between where we are now and the world after 7 trillions worth of semiconductor investment going in the direction and within the vision of the team at OpenAI, which, I'm probably biased here, but like, I feel like is one of the best companies on the planet right now. They are like the next Apple, the next evolution in brilliance. And Sam Altman has been a great CEO. He's hit the Forbes cover page a few times. Like, he's a really respected guy around the world, and rightfully so, because he's just absolutely spearheading technology into realms that weren't even imaginable at the beginning of last year. So, all due respect, I'm all for it, and I'm going to be at the cutting edge of every release of this technology, and I'll continue to do so. But my point being is that the wave of desperation is about to kick off for anyone who isn't as eager in this space. I might be wrong, but in case I'm not, what I'm trying to say is that, guys, it's best to plan your future in a super modern way and look at it from angles that you haven't considered in the past. Again, how would your neighborhood look if people became desperate? All right, desperation changes a way a person acts. I don't want to get too kind of dark, and I'll stop on that point over there. How are you going to deal with your line management? If you have a manager, how are you going to handle if he goes to AI instead of you for a task to get done because you're busy with something else, and then kind of gradually you become more and more replaceable, right? If you're a manager, how are you going to react to executives doing a similar thing where they can get just the sales reports and anything done within minutes opposed to waiting days? Hi Tom, can you please send this through? As soon as senior management gets into this, and they should have already gotten training on this, as soon as corporates and so on become more and more equipped with what's available today, not even talking about after the 7 trillion semiconductor hardware starts to hit the marketplace, it's just the disruption level is going to be so huge. So how are you going to handle becoming less and less relevant? Because that means less salary, that means less team members under you and so on. And then as a business owner, how are you going to be able to weather the storm of your customers going towards AI more so? Now, of course, there's industries like construction and physical activities that are mostly going to be delayed in terms of the disruption coming in. However, with the automation of AI in robotics becoming more and more tangible, do your industries, do your customers have the level of long-standing loyalty that's going to be with you come what may? Or are they going to just dabble with this fast, highly accurate, no complaints, totally customizable, deliver on demand technology to benefit them, benefit their pockets, and benefit their productivity to whatever task that they're trying to do? Because I can tell you right now, this is going to change people. And my words of caution are orientated around, what is your game plan? What are you going to do? Because if you haven't started thinking it 5 years ago, or if you haven't already started thinking it at the beginning of last year or now, it's just a reminder to get quite serious on this topic. Now, that's just you. If you take it out a level, if you got kids, what impact is this going to have on their college, right? Because college is extremely expensive, college debt, so on and so on and so on. But because of the power that this AI has, what are your students going to be able to achieve? Sorry, let me just get a bit more of a friendly background, because I feel like I'm getting a bit too serious. What are your kids going to do when companies aren't taking on interns? All right, so my day and age, you chose a specific field. I got my MBA. Then you go join a company. I learned from grassroots all I needed to, dealt with customers, dealt with operations, dealt with all the tasks that it took to get the marketing department where it needs to be, and so on. Like I worked for experience, and it was sweat equity, and then I got my experience, and then people would come to me for advice, and that's where obviously salaries got bigger and responsibilities increased. But that door isn't going to be open for kids. If you think of these massive layoffs with the tech super stars, 20,000 jobs and so on, that's skilled people that passed the exams, that did everything they could to secure their job and so on. I mean, look at this photorealism. It's crazy. Guys, this is all numbers. This doesn't exist in the real world. This person here doesn't exist in the real world. That's just numbers. So, yeah. So, my point, let me not hang out there. My point being is that the door is not going to be open for internships or for juniors. Okay, junior coders, junior, you name it. If it can be done by AI, why would they take on juniors? Okay, if there's massive layoffs, why would they take on additional overheads and so on? So that's a major thing to consider for kids who are getting into the workplace. Then at high school, obviously this is going to adjust the way kids want to learn, because if all the information is available, then what's the point of them learning it? Why don't they just go to their phones and get it? And then obviously the generations that are like younger are going into a totally different world than what you know. So are you thinking about how to be prepared and secure and able to provide a decade from now for them? Because it's changing so much. And what's more important to me in particular is, am I safe? Are my neighbors going to be okay? And am I protected from desperate people. And I'm in Africa, I'm in a good neighborhood, but people find whatever they need to do to provide for their families. And I just gotta say, like, don't be asleep at the wheel. Don't be naive. Don't trust your government. Don't expect someone else to help you. Like this is a big topic, guys. And once you have given it some real thought, then share your ideas with me if you want to, or speak to someone, or start working on a plan to be prepared for this mega inevitable adjustment in your life, in the livelihood of your family, and of course the workforce at large. So that is just something I want to share with you. That is over half an hour of me chatting about this. So I'm going to let you get back to maybe stressing out. But this is 2024. This only became relatively mainstream a year ago. And you can create anything off scratch. I mean, just to maybe end off on a happier note, I'm going to say sketch a positive version of the future for those who are prepared for all the new AI changes on the way. Okay, so it says here waiting 11 seconds. You can see the progress here. Just remember how it's building. So it's gray and black. So it's working with the numbers. It's just computing. It's taking the best of its knowledge. And then as it's adding in new matrices, those number vectors, that's going to layer it on with color. And then you come out with this image. So this is super futuristic. It got the point. It was a one-liner from my side. It's got green hot air balloons, super fast trains happening on the other side of the group of smiling people, diverse, so guys from across the planet. This is happening now, guys. This is 2024. Imagine, once again, after the 7 trillion. This is just one component of the bigger picture, but just to emphasize a point, $7 trillion in semiconductors just for one company. That's OpenAI. It's time to get so serious about this. All right, so here's my warning, my word of caution, and we can revisit it a year from now. But guys, please, if you manage to find this video somehow, yeah, the time is now to start thinking about it. Okay. Good luck.